You are listening to Scott H. Silverman's Happy Hour, a podcast released on the first 3 Wednesdays of the month. Family crisis, relationship crisis, addiction crisis, no two crisis situations are the same. They vary by family, individual, and relationship. They can encompass complex family dynamics, emotional distress, anger issues, and entitlements, and often involve substance abuse. This podcast addresses these issues and others surrounding the addiction epidemic currently plaguing this country and the world. There is hope and help.
Are you stuck, scared, or unsure of what to do next? If a situation with a loved one, spouse, or even a child has started to spiral, possibly becoming dangerous or threatening, it's time to seek help. My name is Scott H. Silverman. I help families navigate crisis situations. I'm the person you turn to in order to get you and your loved ones unstuck.
Welcome back to the show. This is Scott H. Silverman's Happy Hour. I'm Michael Glenn Moore, Scott's co-host. Scott, how was your 4th?
My 4th was nice and quiet. We were talking about earlier how we pretty much spent the evening trying to comfort our 3 dogs from all the fireworks going off. How about you?
Yeah, it was okay. I'm not a big celebrator. I don't do barbecue or anything like that. So It's pretty much just the people in the neighborhood doing the fireworks, and my dog is terrified of that. But a lot of dogs are, so we're not alone there.
That is true, but they got through it, and we got nasty notes from them the next day. Mom, Dad, do something different next year, so we'll give it a try.
Oh, nasty notes as in poop.
Yeah. Well, at least their attorney didn't call us, so that was a nice thing. Well, we're in California. Pets do weird things out here. They all have legal representation. They all have therapists, massage therapists, and meditation experts. So, we do what we can to just be part of the population. Mm-hmm. So anyway, well, welcome everybody to Scott H. Silverman's Happy Hour. We do happy hour because we think the topics we talk about sometimes aren't the happiest, but we try to be as uplifting as we can, and we do everything we can to bring you what it is you want to hear about. So if there's something we haven't shared, or there's something you want us to talk about, get in touch with either myself or Michael, and you can always reach me at Scott H. Silverman. Just Google me, or yourcrisiscoach.com, or you can call or text me directly at 619-993-2738. Everyone, when you're doing podcasts, everyone who is a fan always has great ideas and suggestions on what you should do better, which is a nice positive way of saying, we would like to see you do something different. So today we're actually thinking out of the box, and we went down to FedEx and we went through 45 boxes and we found a great surprise. And that's Joanie Frank, as she puts down here. Joan Frank is the CEO and the owner of B. Frank Communications. But full disclosure, Joan handles my public relations. So if you like my public relations, it is all about me. And if you don't, call Joan and ask her to work on it. So, and Joan and I were connected through a colleague as well, and we're doing everything we can, and she's jumped on board to help save lives. So I'll read a little bit about Joan, then we're going to jump into some questions, and she's going to inspire you, motivate you, and get you thinking about communication and how that works and why it's important and how to get it done. So, and I'm in a business where we're trying to help people and prevent people from expiring and overdosing, and trying to educate families. It is a very unusual communication trail to try to get people motivated. Who do you talk to the most? Is it the family? Is it the individual? How do you get people motivated to try to get access to asking for help? And it's kind of tough. And Joan, in my opinion, is doing a great job with us, and we're looking forward to helping save a lot of lives together. So from the time she was young, she realized she had a gift for public relations and publicity. Her father owned it, a very prestigious ad agency from the time she was 12. So that was approximately 12 years ago. She spent summers working there, learned a lot about traffic media, public relations from the creative department heads who took her under their wings. I followed his career path through undergrad and graduate school and learned that I have an innate gift for this work. I have the ability to go into business and intuitively know exactly how to promote it. See the hook and realize the angle. Not everyone can do that. For me, it's like breathing. But what I didn't comprehend until fairly recently is that this ability truly is a gift that is mine alone. She meets the client, she sees the potential, identifies what makes them unique. I can tell their story in a way that's newsworthy and generates media pickup. The best part is that I get to build each client's credibility. And at the end of the day, credibility is the key. I have a wide variety of unique experiences, boosting special events, including the Detroit Grand Prix and is it Montreal?
Yes.
Jazz Festival. Yeah, I'm not a jazz fan. That's probably why I didn't recognize it. And ran the press room at the Michigan State Fair. I worked as director of PR for the Berlin Group in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And the president saw my potential, encouraged me to go out on my own. And I'm celebrating 23 years. She's celebrating 23 years of her own business.
25 now.
25 years. Well, then update your bio for God's sake.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
25 years of owning her own business, and she loves what she does. So there's another page or two here, some personal stuff, but I'm not going to read that. I'm going to give her the opportunity if she wants to share about it. So before we get into the questions, Joan, just talk to our audience about who is Joan and how'd you get here and what's going on in your world.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so very much for having me on. This is actually my first podcast that I've been interviewed on. I'm very busy, booking my clients, so I take a back seat. Who am I? Well, I'm a hard worker. I love what I do. I'm a mom of 2 fabulous kids. I am sassy. I am a bit of a workaholic, but I love what I do. And I love working with people that have stories to tell or on a mission to help others. And it keeps me going. It's really, I think I'm very, very blessed to love what I do so much. And I get to, work with great people like you that are doing amazing things and trying to help people.
Well, that's great. Tell us about your kids. Because I don't know much about them. So you say kids like they're, 9 and 11. So I'm sure.
Yes, I wish they were. I was very young when I had them. My son is 29. He is an elite athlete. He works for Specialized Bikes in Santa Cruz, but he's moving to Boulder in the middle of August, where he will continue working with them. But he's the kid that does Ironman and marathons, and he has qualified many times for Ironman World Nationals. 2 years ago, I was in Nice, France, cheering him on. This year, he's going to be in Utah. But he is wonderful. He's kind, he's smart, he's an engineer, and totally doesn't get my creativity. So that's my son. My daughter lives in Denver. She's 25. She is in nursing school. She'll be done next March of 2022. And she's going to really rock it in nursing. She's fabulous and she's kind, and very lucky to have both of them. Although I hate that we live so far apart because I live in Michigan.
Right. So you didn't say anything, but should we assume that they're both single or they're single people?
Yes, no, they are both single. So, and they're both, fabulous kids. So anyone out there listening, if you have a single daughter or a single son somewhere in the Denver area, let me know.
Right. And I was going to ask you actually to say something embarrassing, but you did it all on your own. Very good. So I'll make sure that they get a copy of this.
Oh yeah,
well.
They're going to shoot me.
All right. So mom is advocating for relationship development. I have 2 daughters and both of them are single. Actually, my youngest is in Cabo, San Lucas this weekend. Tomorrow she turns 30, and she went with her roommate for safety reasons. And we tried to get her to take her older sister because she's an attorney, just in case. But I've got a really good friend down there right now. He's vacationing for a month, so he's on call if we need him. But Cabo's pretty cool.
Scott. We could have a meeting and send stuff out from Cabo. I've never been.
Well, if things go the way I hope, we're going to have a kind of a corporate retreat somewhere in Maui next year. I know Mike really wants to get out of the South and get in. I can't wait to see him at a Speedo. I think that's going to be awesome. So visualize that for a second, Michael. So yeah, me too. Well, you know what? They have really colorful floral pattern muumuus, so we'll go with that. So Joan, tell us, public relations, and then there's advertising, and then there's marketing. Share with us what the difference is and how it works and why it's important for people to understand the real differences. Because most people today, between social media and chat rooms and social media and all the different, platforms for that, and LinkedIn, and because of, I think COVID, a lot of people that weren't online, and Zoom, if you will, have gone online. So if you're communicating a lot and you're not doing effectively, and by the way, I was communicating a lot and I was doing so much, there was some effectiveness, but with your toolage and bringing in social media experts to understand the time of the day, what day of the week. So tell people the difference from your experience between PR, maybe advertising, marketing, and how that works.
Yeah, it gets very confusing. Advertising is, you go in, you work with somebody, an ad is created, and you pay to have that ad placed, whether it's in print, if you are running ads on television, but you pay a certain amount, and you know exactly what it is. Like a half-page ad is going to cost you $6,000. You create the ad, it's placed, and you're done. Hopefully somebody sees it, hopefully somebody responds, but you have no guarantees on that. PR is different. PR, you actually pay a publicist to promote you. So the way that works is that somebody pays for me, my clients pay me monthly, and they pay me to get media pickup. And it is, some people will do what they call per hit. So they will send you, before you start working with them, if I get you placed in national media, it's going to be X number of dollars. If I get you placed in your local market on radio, it'll be Y. If I get you placed in TV. The way I work is that it's a flat rate fee, and I take that whole month, and you may get one pickup, you may get 20 pickups, but it's all this, it's one price that you're paying. And it's really my job to talk to you. We will decide where we want to focus, what we think makes sense. And then I create a press release, I create press kits for people. And really it's my job to introduce you to the media and keep you in front of the media. That is PR. And then the marketing component is, I really feel that PR and marketing should go hand in hand, because the marketing in some respects is a broader evaluation of looking at what you're doing and talking about, okay, if you have $10 to spend, then you need to allocate $5 here, $3 for social media. Here's where I don't think you should be spending money. And it's kind of really looking at all of your options and helping you with your budget decide the biggest bang for your budget.
So how would someone, so for example, I can do all that. I can call a television station. I can go on online and see an email. But what is it that you do that makes it different? Because obviously, if you have a relationship there, or just the wording itself, framing the message, or because I've always heard, well, every media platform is always looking for content. Well, I would assume that most people are that on the receiving end, whether they be producers or gatekeepers for the different sources of media, probably get tons of stuff. So how do you make it easy for them?
Yeah, so I think part of that is, yes, you could certainly write a press release and send it to them. Number one, this is what I do. This is what I'm trained to do. This is what I've done for the last 25 years. So I really have what I consider to be this beautiful gift, where I will walk in to a meeting and meet a potential client for the first time, talk to them, hear their story. And in my head, I'm like, bing, bing, bing. We can focus on this, and this is newsworthy, and we could put a spin on this. Sometimes I don't think that a lay person, while they might be doing great work or have a great event coming up, not everyone knows how to tell the story or to even pick what is going to be the most received stories to send. Secondly, I have spent basically my whole life developing relationships with the media. And, I know that there are people that will call them and say, hey, this is so-and-so, I own this restaurant and I want to be on your show. And they're like, don't tell me don't tell me what you want. This is my job, and I get emails and I get pitches all day long. So I think it's a delicate balance. But, a PR person in general knows the right way to spin and who is going to be receptive of what story. And you really got to be quick on your feet. There are oftentimes I have producers calling me or writers calling me saying, we need to do a story. What do you think? And I'll say, oh my gosh, I got it. My client can do this. We can do it on Thursday. No problem. I hang up the phone, I call my client and I say, guess what? I got you a segment on Thursday, but we're going to have to figure this out because I told them you could do this. And I know it's in your wheelhouse to be able to do. So we're going to figure it out and we're going to structure it. But I find all the time, the media that I work with, they number one, know if I'm representing somebody they're the real deal. I'm not going to waste my time or theirs. And when they're getting 1,000 emails a day, when they see my name, they're going to say, oh, what's she got now? This is exciting. Let's see what she has. So I think, that is why I think it's incredibly important to work with a PR professional. It's hit or miss otherwise.
So is it, if I'm understanding you correctly, it sounds like it's safe to say that part of what an individual invests in you for is A, you speak media, yes. B, you've got the trusted relationship with the media platform. So when you're calling, you're not necessarily selling a product other than a content opportunity for that media platform to expose something that you've helped maybe filter, or actually you've even helped build up, the framing for it to make it easy for them. Is that correct?
Yes, in a lot of ways. Listen, they're inundated, and if I can cut to the chase and make their job easier, but give them something really good, they love that. They absolutely love that. And listen, let's talk about you. Let's talk about your new book. As you and I have talked about a million times, the opioid crisis is a pandemic, as you say, a pandemic in a pandemic. And your book is so user-friendly, and it's educational, and it gives people tools that they need to figure out and to navigate what to do if someone they love or somebody they know is in trouble. And that's information that everybody needs. It's not just, in San Diego, it's across the country, because the problem is across the country.
Right. And if I was calling, it's kind of like I'm the vendor, so to speak. So having the third party credibility, that's when I ran my nonprofit for years, whenever I could get a board member to make a phone call or broker a relationship, it was helpful. Right. And I can remember, the one thing I heard all the time is, oh, Scott, we've already kind of done that story. We won't do it again for a while, and this was about homelessness. And now it's like all over the place, because in the last 20 years, nobody seems to have figured it out yet, when people say to me, is your phone ringing off the hook? I said, no, not yet. But the calls that are coming in are very strategic. The traffic's increasing, and the exposure is also, helping get the word out that as a subject matter expert, which it sounds like you are in your field, right. I'm getting that opportunity to start talking about it in a much bigger, more robust way, which is really helpful, because the way I look at it is every day that goes by that I don't take a call, I can't contribute to reducing that morbidity rate of a plane crash every day. So for me, it's more than just making the phone ring. It's getting the information out. And that's where, what you do, you can spoon feed or shovel feed or, bulldoze a big dose of information to individuals. Absolutely. So tell me who, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to add one other thing. One of the most important parts about PR is that it truly builds credibility. And that, to me, is the name of the game, because there could be 1,000 subject matter experts on addiction. But if you're the one that's getting media pickup, people that are looking to work with somebody they go to your website and they say, oh my gosh, here's an article about him, and he was on this TV station, and he was on this magazine. He was in the magazine, and he's been on this podcast, and he's been on TV in San Diego and in Detroit and in Chicago. And that makes them understand that you are a credible resource.
Right. But I can't say that in an easy way. But when you say it about one of your clients, the level of efficacy is much higher. And again, because they're going to research if they think, well, gee, and by the way, I've done some research, and there are not a lot of experts out there in what I'm doing. So our connection of having that funnel to really deliver the messaging is going to be critical. Yes. And, again, there's nobody who really knows when you talk to the treatment experts, or you talk to law enforcement, or you talk to the criminal justice system. If people knew how to get the message to people, they'd be doing it. And, in the schools and the high schools and the colleges, no one's figured it out yet. So we're kind of in this embryonic stage, even though we talk about it every day, and how we, raise the bar to get the information out there and help save lives.
And there's many ways to do that. That's the other thing. For me, PR is not a one-off. It's not okay, I'm going to work with you for a month. PR, you are absolutely laying a foundation, and it's an ongoing process. So I want people to know that it's very important. It needs to be ongoing, you know,
Right.
and it's an investment. It's not an expense. And I think people have to recognize that as well.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, you almost physically threatened me with that information, saying, I'm not going to do this for a month. If you want me to be involved, we're going to do this on the long term so we can make sure we build the platform to get it out there. I'm joking, of course.
No, but listen, I say to people all the time, don't waste your money, because if you're going to work with me for a month and stop, it's not worth it. It's
Right.
just, you know, it takes time.
Yeah, it's
And-
like jumping on a gluten-free diet. You know, it may work for you, but if you
Yeah.
take gluten out of your system completely, it could cause some real problems, some people say.
Yeah.
So who would benefit, you know, as an example, from public relations, from your experience?
Great question. You know, a small retail store, a charity, a hospital, an attorney, a dating coach. I represent a mall, and I work with all of those tenants in the mall. Authors, you know, I think that the list, it goes on and on and on. I think if somebody's got a product that they want people to learn about, somebody's got an expertise they want somebody to learn about, you know, the list is really long. But at the end of the day, I think PR is an effective way for people to learn about what you're doing and either work with you or buy your product.
So how long, I don't even know if you can answer this, but how long does it take? I mean, clearly, you know, everybody has a finite budget or finite level of patience and tolerance, or just a runway that eventually, you know, runs out. So how long, if you're able to invest in it effectively, and, you know, I believe investment in relationships of time, talent, and treasury. So you have to do all three when it comes to the media to get them to pick you up and call you back. You know, and I have a local one that, you know, reacts to me. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw the article I sent to you today, but I actually, well, there you go. You're so busy. So
I actually work today.
But I know you. Before the sun goes down in San Diego, you will have read it and given me some feedback.
Always.
But I actually sent it to one of the on-air personalities who said, this is awesome. At a local newspaper, we talked about we had some help with a third party who's, you know, on other things. But they picked it up, ran it, and it, you know, we'll see what happens to it. It was print yesterday. But she was so excited about it. She was, oh, I'm going to send this over to the producer, who is somebody I talk to all the time. And he's just going to get irritated that now he's got the on-air personalities giving him stuff that he needs to put on. But the good news is they know me there because I'm in my market, and they're comfortable with me. And they know if they want to bring me in to talk about something that I'm focused on, I'm going to give them and their viewers exactly what they need the way they want it, because we interact that way. So, and which is really unique. But it sounds like that's the relationship that you have on a global level, if you will, or a 30,000 foot level, that the average person just couldn't take the time to do, because it's like, it's a business, and it's a separate business.
Right. Well, I want to say, you know, you're a dream client because you can speak to.
Hang on a sec. Let's say that again.
Yes, you're a dream client.
You hear that, Michael?
I think I heard it right.
I want to make sure that he heard that, because you know he's never been certain, not yet. But you know,
there you go. But honestly, Scott, there's so much you can talk about, and it's all in your wheelhouse. So you know, you're the type of client that could really benefit from a PR person forever.
I guess that answers my question about the runway.
Yes, you know, and I think it really depends. A lot of it is obviously goal-based. You know, are you looking for somebody because you've got an event and you just want to focus on that? You know, I've had a relationship with an attorney here for like 7 or 8 years. And on a monthly basis, you know, every single month we're getting media pickup. And for an attorney, it's fabulous because it's so important for them to keep their name out there and to be top of mind and to be able to talk about the things in their wheelhouse. You know, and then there are clients that I work with that maybe it's an event and it may be a 2 or 3 month engagement. And then, you know, that's it for that particular client, or maybe we'll talk again about another event down the road. So I think it's again, you know, it's goal driven, but ideally I think, you know, PR is something that should be done on an ongoing basis.
So to I guess the answer to my question about how long is 90 days up to Armageddon.
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on the situation. Yes.
Yeah. No, I understand special events, I think, are different, but when someone's really trying to carve out, and right now the level of competition is so keen because, I just heard someone say the other day, no one's reading anymore and everything has to be video and it has to be under a minute and 10 seconds. And they said, yes, there are people who are reading, but what's happening is I think the younger generation, I'm guessing now, is getting tighter on, between Instagram, and I don't want to go through them all because I'm going to miss a couple, but social media by itself, and everybody it seems so well tethered to some, whether it's their iPad or their actual laptop or their desktop or their phone, that they're hearing things and obviously the podcasting, and Mike and I, that's how we got started. I was on his show and we've been doing this now over a year now. I think we're close to 50 segments we've recorded. And, I would like to think we have 1 million downloads, but we're getting closer. I think we're probably north of 6,000 now. And it's a tough subject, but still, and having the public relations, which is going to drive people to the website, which they'll then pick up on the podcast and then move to listening is that piece that I think a lot of organizations, unless they're being, stewarded by somebody who understands it, can spend a lot. I mean, I remember starting my confidential recovery 8 years ago, the SEO conversation. And the problem in my industry is there's always someone out there who could spend $1 million a month. So no matter what I spend, and it's hard to target, and plus we're an outpatient program. So our market's 25 miles away from where we are located. I mean, as a crisis coach, interventionist, I can talk to anybody anywhere in the world. So that's kind of where I shifted because I wanted to be able to help. And, I'm in a market with 3.3 million people. And I got to tell you, I couldn't even guess if 0.5% of the community knows who I am. And I've been on TV for a while.
I find it very hard to believe.
Yeah, well, I don't know how we'd even source that.
Ambassador of San Diego. I mean, really, at this point.
Well, and you'd think San Diego would be making a little bit more noise about it. And I think after summer, we're going to see some really clear momentum, as long as we can get, once the COVID piece is really, which it seems to be kind of coming together. And, now they're at leadership's basically telling everybody, if you don't get vaccinated, you could die. I mean, I'll give you an example. One of my oldest, he's a cantor in San Diego. This isn't even known publicly yet, but this will be out in a couple of weeks. A guy that I've loved forever, Cantor Merrill, I just heard passed away yesterday. He's in a independent living and he got the vaccine. Right. And then he got COVID, but he's also in his 90s. So, it was just, I'm going to text him, a buddy of mine early this morning, he passed away after getting COVID again. But and that may not have been the cause, but it certainly is contributing to a lot of fear and what's happening in the world. And I think by the end of summer, we're going to get so busy, we're going to have to fly Michael around in a corporate jet to get him to sit quietly to do these podcasts.
Me too, Michael. Join you. But wait, Scott, I wanted to circle back and say, I hear what you're saying about people not reading, but what I think, the benefit of video and Instagram and, the short bursts is that it gives people the tease to then go to your website or to pick up the newspaper and read an article in its entirety. And I think that that's okay. And if that's, how people kind of select what they're going to read, that's fine. And I also want to say, because I didn't really talk about this with PR, I think PR and social media also need to go hand in hand. I think it's very important. PR gives you content for social media. And I think it's a great way for people, again, to see how credible you are. So, and, as a PR person, we support what our clients are doing on social media. Sometimes we even recommend, what they should be talking about and what they should be posting. But in this day and age, it's a group. It's kind of a team effort. And I'm a big believer that we're all on the same team and, I'm egoless.
By the way, just so we're clear, I don't agree with that about, the people aren't reading. This was somebody who's so electronic based because any message that they do, first it has to be written, then it has to be put in a script, and then someone has to read it. So when you think about it, if it wasn't for the written word, I mean, I just launched a book. So I believe in people reading and, there are some Kindle sales, but I want, and I think that, to be honest with you, I think with the internet addiction growing the way it's growing, one of the things that addiction specialists are talking about now is getting their kids to sit down quietly without their phone in their hand and do some, pick a book up and do some reading. Or if you don't want to read, just meditate. I mean, my daughter hasn't read my book yet, and she joked getting on the plane, and she says, I promise you I'll read it over the weekend. I said, honey, you're going to Cabo San Lucas. You're going to be 30 years old. I'm not going to believe for a second you're going to stop and read the book over the weekend. So on her takeoff, she takes a picture. I just sat down. I'm on page 4.
Oh,
So, but that's in the younger generation, because I think they're a lot brighter. But then they think I think the information highway is going to certainly shift next year, because as a community, if we don't slow down a little bit and start bringing things into our world in a way that massages our heart and our mind, and being mindful about things that we're seeing, because a lot of what we're seeing now electronically, a lot of it just has no validity whatsoever. So another question I have for you is, do you have a story you want to tell, or have we kind of
a story, a personal story?
I don't know. That's question number 4. Do you have a story you want to tell?
Oh, okay. So here.
Back to the script. Sorry.
Oh, back to the script.
I have it written down.
I love that. So, as a PR person, one of my favorite things is to be able to sit down. For a lot of people, and it's so funny, I just had a meeting today and we were talking about this. Not everybody realizes they have a story. Some people think they have a story, but the art of storytelling or story creating is such a huge part of PR. So that was part of the script, because I wanted people and businesses to recognize that even if you don't think you have a story, everybody has a story. You just need somebody on your team that can really help flush it out. Right. And that's a lot of what PR is storytelling.
No, I absolutely. I did a TEDx talk back in 2009, and I'd like to tell you, it's part of my resume, and you can Google it and you can look at it. But back in those days, I had no idea what it was, and it's grown to be an international platform that's given people who have a story an opportunity, and they really force a philosophy of how you're supposed to deliver that message. Mm-hmm. So we only have a couple minutes left. So let me ask you this: what question have we not asked you yet that you would like us to ask you? Otherwise, saying it a different way, what would you like to tell our audience about you, about what you do, the work you do, or about you as a person that we should know?
Well, I think one of the things I would love to bring up is when somebody is now interested in finding a PR person, do your due diligence, because I find I'm very much of a straight shooter, and I'm the person that, back in the day, I'm divorced 9 years, happily divorced 9 years. But, when I first got divorced, it was financially catastrophic. And I put my big girl pants on, and I would go in business meetings, and Be Frank, that's the name of my company. We tell it like it is. I walked from business. If I thought I couldn't do something for somebody, I walked. There are a lot of people in my field that will sell you a bill of goods and not make good on them. So you do your due diligence, you ask your questions, you look at who the clients are, you ask for references, because if you're going to spend the money, you want to make sure you're going to work with somebody that's really going to get the job done. I think that's important.
It's almost like a communications coach.
There you go. Exactly. Yes, I love that. That is what I am.
I can help you with that. And I'm sure John will too. So, Michael, what's on your mind today? What question? Because you always have the good ones.
Well, first off, I want to ask, how long have you been in the business?
So, great question. I literally grew up in the business, not a joke. My dad owned a very prestigious ad agency. And from the time I was 12, I used to go, and his office was downtown Detroit, and I would go and I would work there in the summers. And, 12 years old, there wasn't a lot they could give me, but, they put me in different departments. And really from probably the age of 12, I always knew that PR was where I gravitated. It was just, I think I was very lucky to have that exposure. So I knew it was something I loved, and I've been doing it ever since. My undergraduate degree is in communications. I have a master's degree with a concentration in health promotion, actually. And I've been on my own 25 years. Well, and boy, has it changed since I started.
Yes, and it sounds like you see a wide variety of clients.
Yes, which I also love, because I'm very much of an idea girl, and I was never cut out for the corporate world. I'm not a 9-to-5er, because I'm up early. I'm, talking, giving myself notes on my phone in the middle of the night, because my mind is always going. So it works for me.
Yeah. What aspect of your business do you find the most challenging? I mean, after all this time, is there something that you know?
That's a really good question. You know, challenging in a good way is for each client because it's a very, very diversified client base. I think I'm very hard on myself. So intuitively, I always know the right hook. But the challenge for me is between the time I develop that and create a press release and send it out, and the challenge of waiting to see who's going to pick it up. Because for me, I think to myself, oh my God, if I lost my touch. No, I always get the pickup and I'm like a kid in a candy store. But I just think that waiting to see how it's going to be received is a big challenge for me.
What do you think is the best way to start with the client? Is there something you do with everybody that's it's like, all right, number one, we're going to do this?
I do. There are some similar things, but I think every industry is different. So, one of the things I like to do in terms of onboarding is obviously to assess goals, see what got going on, see what they've done in the past. And see what they're doing in the present, so I can take a good look and tweak immediately, so that we can start off on the right foot.
Well, if you need somebody to help you with podcasters, I'm there for you.
Well,
I know
thank
a
you
lot of
for
podcasters,
talking.
so yeah.
Okay, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead and give us your quote for the day and see us out?
Hey,
Okay.
Michael, before she does that, I want to make sure Joan gets her contact information out so people know how to reach her.
Oh,
Sorry
okay,
about
yes.
Great. Okay. So, and I do want to mention that while I am based in Michigan, my clients are all over the country. I have more
Clearly,
clients.
I'm in San Diego.
But I want people to know at this point, I have more clients out of state than in state, which I love. So you can, my website is bfrankcommunications.com. You can email me at joan@bfrankcommunications.com. And you can always call me. My cell phone is 248-330-0001. And, love to hear from anyone and everyone.
Okay, what's your quote?
My quote is, don't sweat the small stuff. I'm a cancer survivor, and you know what? Life is short. So move on, because time is a ticket.